Tiffany Henyard actually has two political jobs on two public payrolls, as mayor of South Suburban Dalton, or as she calls herself, Super Mayor, and supervisor of Thornton Township, where she makes over $200,000 a year.
Did you hear the latest scandal about Tiffany Henyard? Looks like she's getting sued. There's always some drama brewing, and this time it's at the Thornton Township Board meeting. So Supervisor Tiffany Henyard used to run these meetings like a well-oiled machine, zipping through the agenda in no time. But last Thursday night, everything changed. Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who's also the Thornton Township Supervisor. Now, Henyard isn't just dealing with the usual political drama, she's under federal investigation. Allegations against Henyard include using taxpayer money for personal security, frivolous spending on merchandise, and a questionable $1 million Facebook giveaway. Talk about scandalous. The meeting turned into a shouting match, with residents taking turns criticizing Tiffany Henyard. One person even said she should step down and called her a failure. People were angry about her leadership, the previous meeting being canceled, and the short time they had to speak. The residents weren't just yelling at Tiffany Henyard, they were arguing with each other too. It got so bad that when a man stood up and told everyone to act like adults, he got shouted down as well. You can imagine, with all this chaos, not much actual business was getting done. The room was packed, people were standing, and some were even yelling and playing rude music. It was a hot mess. He tried to control the chaos, but it was clear that the trustees were ready to shake things up. They weren't about to let her rush them through the agenda this time. And they had questions, lots of them. The meeting was already tense because it had been rescheduled. Trustees started questioning Henyard's contracts and payments, resulting in heated debates and extended discussions. People had shown up on Tuesday and waited for over an hour only to be told the meeting was canceled. So they came back on Thursday with a vengeance. The crowd was rowdy, shouting insults and even dragging Henyard's daughter into it. Tiffany Henyard wasn't having it, and at one point, she tried to shut the whole thing down and clear the room. But that didn't fly either. So what exactly went down at the meeting? During the meeting, Henyard told residents they only had 2 minutes to speak, even though the rules said they should get 3. Naturally, this caused a stir because everyone wanted to have their say. The public comment section was a real showdown. The main event was the debate over the bills. Normally, bills were approved without much fuss, but this time, trustee Chris Gonzalez decided enough was enough. He wanted to exclude 31 bills from approval, and this led to a heated argument. Henyard and some department heads tried to defend their decisions, but Gonzalez, along with trustees Jerry Jones and Carmen Carlisle, insisted on more oversight. They argued that contracts should be approved by the board before services were provided, not after. Then there was also a big fuss over grass cutting services. The township usually hires local youth to cut lawns, but lately they've been using contractors. Stanley Brown, who runs the program, explained that there weren't enough kids available, and those who needed to pass drug tests, which limited their numbers. Gonzalez and Jones suggested paying the youth per lawn cut instead of an hourly wage to make it more appealing. But Henyard argued that contractors were actually cheaper. The questions surround her boyfriend, who allegedly earns more than $100,000 from the township. These controversies were making people scrutinize their leadership closely. Tiffany Henyard's tangled web includes using township funds for a cancer foundation, now under investigation, having a village administrator who hid assets while advising her, and even paying her boyfriend over $100,000 from township funds. The feds raided Dalton's Village Hall, and even former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is digging into Henyard's spending at the request of the board trustees. With so many shady dealings, it's hard to keep track without a flowchart. Supervisor faced scrutiny over spending transparency, leading the Thornton Township Board to deny payments to certain vendors until more information is provided. Everyone's hoping the federal investigation will be thorough but quick, because Dalton can't afford to wait years for this mess to be untangled. Since becoming Dalton IL's mayor in 2021, Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor, has faced a storm of controversies. Her term has been marked by 2 federal investigations into her spending of taxpayer money, overshadowing her efforts to tackle the community's housing crisis, secure funds for seniors and veterans, and initiate new recreational projects. Despite her accomplishments, Henyard's reputation has taken a big hit due to many accusations of corruption and mishandling money. One major issue is a lawsuit from a former employee who says they were fired for refusing to join Tiffany Henyard's supposed political plans. But what are the feds doing while all this is happening? Apparently, the FBI is looking into Dalton Village Hall because they think Tiffany Henyard might be involved in corruption. They've asked for records to check what's been going on. Trustee Brittany Norwood supports this because she's worried about money being spent without people knowing. This investigation comes after a lot of controversy in Dalton. Lori Lightfoot, a former mayor of Chicago, is now investigating Henyard for things like mishandling money and a fancy trip to Las Vegas paid for by the village. Henyard is also dealing with lawsuits from former employees who say they were fired for not doing political work. There's even a serious accusation of sexual assault involving a Dalton police officer. Let's try to answer the huge question now. Why has Tiffany Henyard still not been removed from office despite all the controversy? Basically, all of this drama started brewing around 2 years back. So back in June 2022, there was an attempt to recall her through a vote. They put 2 questions on the ballot, one to set up rules for recalling a mayor and another to actually recall Tiffany Henyard. But the court said the way they did it was against the rules, so the recall couldn't happen, even though most people voted in favor of it. Since then, there's been a lot of drama. When he first became mayor, people were hopeful for positive changes, but things started to go wrong. Henyard has been criticized for her leadership style and decision-making, with accusations of retaliation against those who oppose her and mismanagement of village funds. Despite these controversies, Tiffany Henyard defended her choices. She said Brown's experience made her a good fit to manage the village's affairs temporarily. The village board approved Brown's appointment, even though it sparked more criticism about favoritism and how decisions were being made. Henyard's administration is facing legal and ethical issues, including federal subpoenas and investigations into her finances and the use of township resources. Looking forward, the situation remains tense in Dalton. Do you think Henyard should stay as mayor, or should there be changes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to us for more updates on this story.